Hello all! Time for another coffee with Kilroy, or what I sometimes call, many times call, most of the times call, beverage and a book. And the book today is Tales of War. Great stories from military history for every day of the year. I've gone back to this several times. In fact, I have a whole segment in my playlist called Tales of War, so take a look at that. This is a book that covers military history or historical events for each day of the year. And as you can tell today, I wonder if you can guess what we're going to talk about today. Maybe I should put that on one of my quizzes. I have some geo quizzes and military quizzes. Maybe I should start a new segment with that. But today is not only going to be a coffee with a Kilroy, it's not only going to be beverage in a book, it is going to be Kilroy Goes to the Movies, and there's going to be more than one book here, if you can tell what I'm talking about. And we'll also talk about a game as well, or, some of the treatment of this subject in games. But enough of that. I'm almost out of coffee. I've been, drinking away. And, I'm probably going to finish this cup before I get done here. But what is today? Today is August 20th. And what is that going to tell us in Tales of War? Well, let's get inside here and see what we have on August 20th. If you haven't figured it out by now, I don't know what to do to help you. But here we have August 20th, or 20 August. The Spartans defy the Persians at Thermopylae. 480 BC, mighty Xerxes, king of Persia, the greatest empire the world had known, had resolved to conquer the stubborn Greeks who had defeated his father Darius at Marathon 10 years before. So great was his army that it took them 7 days and 7 nights to cross the Hellespont. Herodotus tells us that the Persians numbered 2,500,000 men, but modern estimates suggest that a more reasonable 200,000. Knowing that all Greece was in mortal danger, a force of 7,000 hoplites, infantry, from several Greek city-states was rushed to meet the invaders. See if you can read along with that. I can go a little bit closer in here. There we go. Now you can read along with me. Now, where was I? Under the leadership of the Spartan king Leonidas, indifferent to the odds against him, Leonidas declared, "If you reckon by the numbers, all Greece cannot oppose even a part of that army. But if by courage the number I have with me was enough, the armies clashed at Thermopylae in one of history's most heroic defenses." Thermopylae means hot gates, named for the hot sulfur springs nearby. It is a narrow mountain pass, only 50 feet across, at its widest accommodating just a single wagon track. On one side towers high cliffs, while on the other side is a precipitous drop into the sea. Sorry, not having you guys follow along very closely there, am I? Through this restricted defile that the Persian army had to pass to enter central Greece. Even before the battle, the location had dramatic connotations for every Greek, for it was nearby Mount Osea that Hercules had died, poisoned by the blood of a dead centaur. Got to get our Greek mythology in today, too. Upon seeing the tiny Greek forces, Xerxes demanded Leonidas lay down his arms, to which the Spartan king tersely challenged, "Come and take them." As the defenders waited for the onslaught, one fearful soldier just speculated that the Persian archers were so many that the arrows would hide the sun. "Good," answered the Spartan Dionysius, "then we shall fight them in the shade." Great lines here. This is made for a movie. Spoiler alert. To open the battle, the Persian king ordered his Medes and Scythians to lead the charge, but the Greeks, armed with long spears and protected by large round shields, crested helms, and lower leg greaves, were more than a match for the invaders, who had shorter spears and weaker armor, better suited to warfare in the open plains than to the narrow defile of Thermopylae. Soon, Xerxes was forced to call on his elite infantry, the Immortals, but even they could not make they could make no progress against the ferocious defenders who slew thousands of the enemy during the first 2 days of battles. So many Persians were killed that from the ranks had to be driven into it had excuse me. Coffee break. Here we go. I told you I'm going to finish this cup. So many Persians were killed that the front ranks had to be driven into battle with whips. But then came treachery. A Greek trader, Ephialtes, hoping for a rich reward, told Xerxes of a mountain path which the Persians could send an encircling force. On the night following the second day of the battle, the immortals started working their way behind the Greek position. Once Leonidas learned that the Persians were closing in from behind, he sent all the Greek warriors except his own 300 Spartans home to defend their cities. Then he settled down with his men for a last meal, bleakly ordering, "Breakfast well, for we shall have dinner in Hades." He was determined to fight to the last. At 9 o'clock in the morning of the third day of battle, the resolute Spartans marched out for the final confrontation to sound their flutes, to the sound of their flutes. Despite fighting with ferocity, they were soon overwhelmed, with Leonidas among the first to fall. Finally, the last defenders were surrounded on a small hill. Herodotus relates that they fought in a frenzy without concern for their lives. Most had already lost their spears, and they had cut down Persians with their swords, defended themselves with daggers and with their hands and teeth. And while those Persians who had come around the mountain completed the circle, but despite their fanatical struggle, soon all 300 Spartans lay dead. Yeah, there we go. All Spartans said, lay dead. In his anger, the stubborn Spartan resistance, Xerxes, in his anger at the stubborn Spartan resistance, Xerxes had Leonidas' lifeless body crucified, his severed head stuck on a pole. Herodotus says that the Spartans killed 20,000 Persians at Thermopylae, no doubt an exaggeration, but in any case, not enough to prevent the Persian invasion of the Greek mainland and the capture of Athens. Greece was saved not by Thermopylae, but by the naval victory at Salamis the next month. See September 22nd. Hey, maybe I should do something on September 22nd. I've got a few more games on that. On the small hill where the Spartans made their last stand, the Greeks erected a monument, now long vanished, with the inscription from the Simonides of Ceos, "Go, stranger, and to listening Spartans tell that here, obedient to their laws, we fell." There you go. Tales of war about the Battle of the 300. So now, as far as other books are concerned, there's probably some really good books on this topic, but one that I jumped to because it's graphically appealing is Frank Miller's and Lynn Varney's 300, which was a graphic novel of the Battle of 300, which, has really gotten a lot of fans and a lot of people kind of interested in this topic, mainly because it was made into a movie shortly thereafter. So a lot of the graphic going on here. And I found, this is an interesting graphic novel. I actually got this after the movie. So I was reading this story or hearing about the story. I was always, this should be made into a movie. And the first movie that I found that was made into it was The 300 Spartans, which is not a bad movie. I mean, it's let's see, I think this is from the 60s, possibly the 70s. Can't read that in this light right now. But it was a fine movie. It stayed relatively close to the script of what has been related to us. I mean, this is, a long time ago, so not the best accounts. And as we saw from the reading, some Herodotus accounts were a little off, or potentially a little off, but not a bad movie. And then 300, of course, takes over from the graphic novel and makes it a little bit more fierce, graphic in both its telling of the story and the gore and some of the sexual tensions and what have you, but definitely made a splash on the screen. And for a lot of people, that is their understanding of the Battle of the 300. This might be a little bit closer to home or history. This, of course, is a graphic novel come to light. So how has this battle been portrayed in games? Well, there's not a lot of games on this battle. There's some card games out there, and I think DVG has come up with a part of their solo series, the Heroic Stand series, where I think they do Alamo, Rorke's Drift, and the 300. It's a card-based game, and it's solitaire, which is interesting because this game right here, this is a solitaire game. This is from Against the Odds magazine. Go Tell the Spartans. The magazine I put with the magazines, but I pulled the rules out. So basically what you're going to get in this game, you've got the map, the counters, the rules, some charts, and then of course there's some charts and stuff on the map as well. But this is a solitaire game that's kind of done on a grid here. And so you've got the Persian forces, which have a mix of range and infantry, and then you've got the Greek forces and the Spartans predominantly, which again have their spears and their shields and swords that are here. It's a solitaire game. It's okay. I mean, they can't. The first edition, which these are the first edition rules, were somewhat confusing. I mean, that's not uncommon for a magazine game. Sometimes magazine games don't get the same development as box games, but they do. I do have a second edition rules here that has all the different changes noted, and this is a little bit clearer and easier to understand. But you've got your typical counters that you should expect, with your melee factor, your defense value, and then for range units, there's a ranged chart that you have to refer to figure out the type of weapon and its range, and you roll different kind of dice. There are D6s and D10s, so a little bit different than the average fare of what you would find in a game of just with either just D10s or D6s. You got a little bit of both here, but you got all your different charts in here for both sides. I guess you could splice that down the middle if you wanted to, and give each player their own. Well, I mean, it's solitaire, so you really don't need it for each player, right? So anyway, interesting game here. I think this is totally solitaire. Let's take a look at that again. I might have misspoke. It's primarily a solitaire game. Yeah, that's what I thought. So there you have it. Not a lot of standalone games on this. I think I know of another that I think is a box game. But not a lot out there on this. And it might be covered in some of the Ancient Battle series. I looked at the Luck Day Ancient Battles from Victory Point Games. I didn't see a scenario for Thermopylae in that one. So I don't know how many of the Ancient Battle series, like Great Battles of History or what have you, that cover this battle. They might, of course, that might be like in a C3I or something like that. But anyway, so that's what I have for you today on my Coffee with Kilroy, and books and movies and tales of war and what have you. Thank you for stopping by. This was a very interesting battle. I suggest you read up on it more. Unfortunately, I didn't do my research and give you a list of books to look at this battle. I mean, of course, you can always go to Herodotus, right? You can go to the source. So anyway, there you have it for today. Enjoy your coffee. As I said, I'm all but done here. Is it time to put on another pot? It just might be. Anyway, thanks all. Take care. Thanks for watching.